Hello, everyone. This is Sasha with the LTRC. Thank you for joining us for Take a Digital First Approach to Streamlining Your Law Practice with our sponsor, ABBYY, as part of the LTRC Industry Insight Series held every Wednesday. Thank you all for joining us. We'll now begin the webinar.
Thank you so much, Sasha, and welcome everyone. And thank you for joining us for this webinar on taking a digital first approach to streamlining your law practice. We are privileged to offer this webinar in conjunction with the American Bar Association. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Andrew Perry, and I will be the moderator for this session today. And it is my privilege to introduce the panelists for this webinar. So first, it is our privilege to have Alan Kassan, a senior partner in the firm of Kantor Kantor, as our featured speaker. Alan has over 30 years of experience in representing plaintiffs whose insurance benefits have been denied. In addition to California, the firm handles cases throughout the Northwest and in other states across the nation. Alan has acted as a judge pro tem, a volunteer mediator, and has been active with a variety of professional and nonprofit boards and associations over the last several years. Alan currently serves as recent past president on the board of trustees for the San Fernando Valley Bar Association and a trustee of the Valley Community Legal Foundation. He has been selected year over year as a super lawyer, signifying a high degree of peer recognition and professional achievement. Alan is a frequent speaker in the areas of law he practices. So Alan, welcome to the panel.
Thank you for having me.
Great. And now let me also introduce Mike Simon. So Mike has been in the legal industry for over 25 years as a practicing trial attorney, coupled with developing, marketing, and supporting innovative products and services for legal technology, particularly in privacy and e-discovery. Mike has recently returned to the practice of law, focusing assisting companies and organizations with their cybersecurity and privacy challenges. So Mike certainly has a unique combination of being at the intersection of the law and technology. So Mike, welcome to the panel.
Thank you, Andrew, and I promise I'll work on a happier picture one day.
Great, thank you for that. And so finally, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Natalia Ursinova. She's a product marketing manager at ABBYY, and she's responsible for developing marketing campaigns, sales enablement initiatives, and coordinating product launches. She has broad international experience, originally from Slovakia, lived in Turkey, Dubai, studied in England, Italy, and currently living in Germany. So Natalia, it's great to have you join our panel.
Thanks, Andrew, and hello, everyone.
Right, so anecdotally, we truly have an international panel on board here. I am in Ottawa, Canada. Alan is in Southern California. Mike is in Boston, and Natalia is in Munich, Germany. So let's get started. And first of all, I'd like to share with you the ambition of this webinar. And it is to explore best practices to help you modernize your legal operations. Now, the first part of the webinar will moderate a discussion with Alan. So Mike will moderate that conversation. And Alan will share his insights to how Kantor Kantor transformed their tedious and labor-intensive document review processes associated with insurance claims litigation, thereby streamlining their document review cycles and improving evidence gathering processes. Now, once the discussion between Mike and Alan, we will move to the second part of the webinar where Natalia and I will highlight some of the most challenging document processing activities that lawyers are encountering and how they may be simplified and make your transactional work a little bit easier and simpler. But above all, we hope that you will find this webinar educational and practical to help your law practice. So at this stage, Mike, if I may ask you to lead the conversation with Alan and gain some insight into Alan's practice areas and how they addressed their document processing challenges.
Thank you, Andrew. And it's become almost a cliche these days. I think we hear it all the time. Folks say, in these difficult times, it seems like every ad I hear on the radio or TV says that. But the truth is, law firms need to do better. We've got to do a better job of handling all these documents we've got. And the story that Alan Kassan can tell us about Kantor and Kantor is an amazing story of a digital journey to become the kind of firm that is indeed paperless and incredibly efficient. But first, Alan, can you tell us a bit about Kantor and Kantor?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Hello, and thanks again for inviting me to participate in the webinar. Let me start with that background. Our law firm exclusively represents plaintiffs in ERISA and bad faith insurance litigation. And for those of you who are not familiar, ERISA stands for the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, and it's a federal scheme of laws to protect employee benefits. We practice primarily with health-related claims, life, health, long-term disability, long-term care insurance benefits. And as I think they mentioned, we're based in California, but we do have a nationwide reach since most of our practice is in federal court and much of it deals with the federal law of ERISA. And ERISA is involved because so many people get their life insurance or health insurance or long-term disability insurance through their employer. So that's why these matters are governed by the law of ERISA. And we find ourselves practicing not just in California, but throughout the country as well. Our firm started about 16 years ago with just 5 lawyers in one small office. And our ambition was to take on large insurance companies who almost chronically deny these kinds of claims. We've now grown to 20 lawyers in 4 different offices. And I attribute that in some part, well, in large part, to our desire and ability to take a digital approach to managing documents and leveraging the technologies that were available, like the ABBYY family, and in this case, the ABBYY Fine Reader server product. And we needed that because in order to litigate against giant insurance companies, we needed the capacity to organize large volumes of documents that come to us in the form of insurance company claim files, which can sometimes occupy boxes and file boxes of documents. Insurance company claim files might average around 4,000 to 5,000 pages, but can be upwards and over 10,000 pages for an individual client. And all those documents, of course, are separate and apart from all the litigation-related documents, court filings, discovery, et cetera. So our immediate challenge was to find an efficient way to process and manage large volumes of documents with a relatively small staff. And because necessity is the mother of invention, we decided, of course, to go paperless, but that wasn't enough. We needed to be able to not only digitize and scan the documents, but to perform the optical character recognition, the OCR process, on every single document that came in. And the OCR process is important, as most of you probably know, because that allows you to search for terms in Acrobat or PDF, I should say, PDF style documents. And not only that, but it allows for things such as editing the documents, cutting and pasting text from those documents. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. So we needed to address a 2-part workflow, the scanning of documents and then the OCR process. And really the scanning was the easier part for us and probably for most people. We started with a small desktop scanner and then eventually graduated to a larger multi-function printer scanner machine that probably most law offices have nowadays. And now we can scan pages probably, gosh, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's upwards of 120 pages a minute. So it's faster. And we also found that our secretaries and staff were wasting a lot of time, not only scanning, but waiting for the OCR process to work. The OCR challenge, as I said, was a little more difficult because we started using desktop applications like Adobe Acrobat. And it was okay, but for us with large volumes of documents, it was just way too slow. We tried the OCR software built into some of our scanners, but that was also too slow and not always accurate. And we also found that scanning on our desktops just occupied or consumed way too much of our computer system resources and made those resources unavailable. So it was difficult to perform other tasks on the desktop computers while the OCR process was in the works. So it was just cumbersome and unmanageable. And as the partner in charge of systems and technology in our firm, that really started a quest for a much better solution.
Excellent. Alan, now, you know, I've worked with firms 50 times your size that don't break down and understand their workflows in the way that they do, and don't put the efforts in to pick the right products and to test them the way that you all have. Can you describe how it is you ended up with choosing ABBYY?
Yeah, it was a little bit by accident. I just started to reach out and do research on other possible solutions, and I found many other desktop solutions. I also encountered in my search some large commercial enterprise type applications, but those were really for us overkill, and they were prohibitively expensive, designed for big print houses and maybe multinational companies. And then I stumbled upon ABBYY and its fine reader server process, made some inquiry and watched some demos. And really, it was unlike anything I'd seen. It was the perfect solution for us because it was really easy to set up a workflow with the server product to automatically take scans from our scanners and process them, direct them, and then process them on a dedicated computer. So our staff would not have to deal with the otherwise cumbersome task of figuring out where to get the document once it's been scanned, and then opening up software on their desktop and going through the OCR process. The solution that ABBYY provided was the scans would be automatically picked up, they would be processed on a dedicated computer, and they would be dropped into a folder on our network wherever we designated. So that was terrific. And then it also enabled us to give every employee a folder on their desktop. So if for some reason they received a PDF document from the court or from another lawyer that wasn't OCR'd, they could simply drag and drop that document into the folder on their desktop, again, without having to open up an application on their desktop and worrying about how to go about properly OCRing it. So again, really convenient, really easy, and took all of the issues about user error or technology away from our users. And I think one of the more important things for us is that it didn't bog down the user's computer so as to make it unusable for other projects. As we got to know the product better, we eventually were able to enhance the workflow, and actually pretty quickly, to allow for priority scanning workflows, regular priority workflows, and after-hour workflows. And that was important because I think, as anybody who works in any office can understand, sometimes you need something immediately. Sometimes you don't need it immediately, but soon would be great. And sometimes you don't care if it's available the next day or the day after, that's fine. So that was also a real boon to our document processing because we were able to allow our users to establish priorities, which again spread out the use of our resources and the dissemination of these documents once they were processed. So very quickly, we had a streamlined system where every document coming into the office was immediately scanned and automatically OCR'd by our reception or filing staff. And we learned that we weren't hearing complaints, we weren't having problems, we weren't having to consult IT with computers locking up or crashing or people forgetting how to do processes. And I'd estimate about 3 to 5 hours a week per staff person was freed up for more productive tasks, which for us was terrific. So it made our staff not only more productive, but I think I'm confident in saying that it made them happier because they didn't have to deal with the issues they were dealing with before. And it also cut down on our IT expense and hardware issues, software glitches, user error, etc. So we started with maybe processing a few thousand pages a week, but as the workflow developed and our firm grew, We got better at the implementation of the fine reader server system and our workflows. We've grown to processing now about an average of about 10,000 pages a day that are scanned and OCR'd. So we're accomplishing a lot for still a relatively small firm. And we've grown from 5 lawyers to 20 lawyers with a national reputation as a highly respected and effective advocate for individuals who've been denied life, health, and disability insurance benefits.
And I think ultimately that's the critical lesson here, is that you can use this efficiency to make your clients happier, make your staff happier, to grow your firm. That's an incredible lesson. Can you tell us about any other lessons that you've taken away from this?
Sure. I think probably the most obvious lesson is, and this might be a hard one for lawyers to hear, but it's don't fear the technology that's available to you. Of course, we're talking about document processing technology, OCR, and scanning, but there are so many technologies available in today's world, and some of them can be intimidating, but I think the secret here is to embrace the technologies. This might be trite, but my feeling is that the most successful law firms and businesses are those that invest in 3 fundamental areas: their people, the content that they deal with, and the processes that they encounter. And technology helps with all of that. So we were able to find people in our organization who had a little bit of aptitude for these things, and some firms may not have those types of personnel, so you can reach out to consultants. But the effort and the expense of learning about and implementing the technology really, it pays off in spades. It allows you to focus on the more substantive tasks. It allows you to use your resources more efficiently and effectively. For us, it allowed us to manage larger caseloads with a relatively small staff and to battle insurance company giants, all while achieving pretty successful outcomes for our clients. And it allowed us to build our firm. It's funny, when we started, OCR scanning, but more so OCR, was relatively rare. I think now it's fairly ubiquitous. However, I'm constantly amazed at the number of lawyers that I talk to that even today, in today's technological world, they haven't really devoted any attention to making the process better, more efficient, more painless. And I encourage all lawyers to do that with this technology and any other technologies that might be available to you that you're considering. So yeah, don't fear the technology, embrace them. I think for us also another lesson was that we were able to centralize a critical office function involving the technology. So whereas before it was the process was scattered throughout the firm and everybody had to be an expert and remember how to do things, and people were doing things inconsistently and oftentimes wrong. This way, we took all that error-prone processing away from our staff, made it really simple, pretty much just plug and play, so to speak. And it insulated the less savvy from the stresses about the processes and making the error. And as I said before, it made them happier, and we significantly reduced our reliance upon IT support for issues related to this. And finally, I think we probably couldn't have done this without knowledgeable technology partners that we were able to team up with to help us with insights as to how we might better improve our workflows and our implementation of this particular technology. And yes, there's an expense associated with that, but again, I think looking back, the expense was negligible considering the benefits that we've garnered from it.
Thank you, Alan. Can we hit the next slide, please?
Right.
And, I think the message for everyone out there, for all us lawyers, is don't fear the technology. This is the time, folks. This is the time, folks, to embrace it, to understand how you can use that technology to make your firm more efficient, more effective, and to show us some of the capabilities within ABBYY's tools. We're going to turn back to Andrew and to Natalie.
Thanks so much, Mike and Alan, for your insights. And certainly I think it gave us some real good understanding of how Kantor and Kantor was able to derive benefits from automation. So now what we're going to do is Natalia and I will kind of go under the hood a little bit and talk about how to take advantage of these automation tools to streamline your law practice. And in Alan's discussion, he referred to ABBYY FineReader Server. That's a part of the FineReader family of products that's designed to handle high volume document processing projects. But what Natalia and I will focus on is our desktop product that is really available for practitioners as a productivity tool to help them process their documents, digitize, retrieve, edit, and protect and share around all kinds of documents, particularly in the context of the legal space. And specifically, what I will be covering in this particular presentation is and demonstration, we will highlight a few things. So first, we're going to help you understand how you may digitize and convert paper documents into searchable PDFs, particularly to streamline legal proceedings and deliver court exhibits, certainly in accordance with legal requirements for bookmarks and Bates numbering. We'll also focus on how you protect sensitive information by clearing metadata and comments. We'll also help you understand better how you can actually ensure attorney-client privilege by sanitizing comments and annotations before creating a new document. And then we'll also provide some insights into how you can review, compare, share, and comment on different versions of documents across multiple formats. So at this stage, what I'm going to do is Natalia will assume control of the presentation, and we'll kind of lead you through a couple of few scenarios that might help you have a better understanding of how you can improve your management of documents. So Natalia, I'll stop sharing here, and I'll give you presenter rights to your desktop. Natalia, can you hear us?
Sorry, I apologize. I was still on mute. Yes, so I've now resumed
No problem.
control.
Thank
I hope
you.
that you can see me, or not see me, but see my screen and hear me.
Yes.
Okay,
I can.
great.
So one of the first things that we would like to share with the audience is more efficient ways to work with PDF files. Now, of course, all of us work with PDF documents, and that is certainly a standard. But there are a number of challenges that attorneys face in working with legal documents. For example, converting and combining multiple documents to PDF to meet production requirements for e-filing and e-discovery. And then not only that, but on the flip side, it's also very common for lawyers to receive PDF files from third parties, and essentially working with and editing PDF files can also be a challenge. So Natalia, may I ask you to demonstrate how FineReader PDF makes this process a little bit easier for lawyers?
Yes, happy to. So let me just get to my demo documents here, get everything ready. So I hope that you can see the bottom of my screen here in the black corner as well. So let me give you a little taste of what FineReader PDF can do. And let's start with a quick look sort of at the interface and how you can get to it. So I already have it in my sort of most used applications at the bottom here. So this icon that you can see is the FineReader application. What you're also able to do is you can search for it from the Windows Start screen, and just click on here. We have ABBYY FineReader PDF 15. So let me just click on that. And so at a first glance, you can notice how simple and straightforward it is to start working with it. So also, as Alan mentioned briefly about not fearing the technology, this really is as simple as it can get. And with FineReader PDF, when you hover over the tasks, it even shows you this sort of tips to help guide you additionally. And so for quick conversion tasks, since this was the first questions, there are actually several ways that you can do this using FineReader PDF. So since we have the start screen open, what you can do right from here is you can just click on, so let's say that we want to convert Word document to PDF. So you can select from this list of most common formats that you have. So I will click on convert to PDF. And what you're able to do here is not to have to do this manually for each document. You can also select several documents. So let me commercial, these 3 documents. And you can choose to combine all of the files into one document or keep them separate if that's what you would like to do. You're also able to add files right from the top here. You also have on the left-hand side here some additional options for you where you can, so speaking about long-term archiving, which is quite important, this would be the option that you would most probably want to keep selected, which is already a default, so that's great. And what you're also able to do is if you work with really big documents, when the file size is really big, you can choose to reduce the size of it by compressing it. And then all you do is you click on convert to PDF and find a place to save it. And within seconds, you get your converted PDF document. As you see here, this is what it will look like within the interface that you can easily scroll through. And it is also instantly searchable. So also a quick tip about this is for even quicker conversion without even having to go into the interface. You can also, when you have your documents available, you can simply right-click on the document that you would like to convert, and from the drop-down menu, select Convert to PDF. And so this gets you the same results even faster, but then you choose where to save it. And speaking of sort of your freshly converted PDF documents and just generally about PDF documents, another a really great time saver is that if you have FineReader PDF set as your default PDF viewer, then actually all you have to do is you just double click on your PDF document and it'll open it within the interface. Yeah, I hope you can see this. And you can start working with it directly. So this might be another scenario where you receive a document from a colleague and you open it, you look through it and you realize that actually maybe something is not correct or something just needs to be changed or added. And so while we're talking about a conversion scenario, you are able to further convert a PDF document to, for example, a Word. So you can, when you see these command lines at the top, you would just click on Save As. And from this drop-down list, you can choose Microsoft Word document to further review or make changes or leave comments. But actually, the beauty of FineReader PDF is that you don't actually need to do any additional conversions at this point. You can just edit and leave comments, basically work with the content of the document directly within the application. So just to prove to you that that's the case, I'll just click on Edit at the top here. And let me go ahead and, for example, I see this monthly rent sum that maybe needs to be changed or has been updated. So I would, for example, type in 12,000. And for example, you're also able to add in additional paragraph if there's something missing. Additional terms, for example. I could spell correctly, that would help. And I can just bold it out here so it resembles the rest of the document, and so on and so forth. And the text basically just flows through from one paragraph into the other, as you can see. So it's really as comfortable as you're used to working in the Microsoft Office application, and but you don't actually have to leave the application at all. So what you're also able to do is, in case where, let's say, you don't want to make the changes directly yourself without consulting with your colleagues or your client because you're not the owner of the document, is you can use the collaboration tools available to facilitate exchanging feedback. So you would find that at the top here under the features, and you can click on Note at the top left corner here. And instead of, maybe having changes to 12,000, I can just highlight it and just leave a note for my colleague that this needs to be changed. And then you can just share the document email it with the comments really easily, where this will just send the email, we'll have the attachment already attached. And this is one of the many benefits that FineReader does in terms of conversion and editing of documents. So back to you, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Natalia. So let's take a look at another common challenge that lawyers are facing, and that is comparing different versions of a document, and especially between different parties that they're working on these documents. So can you demonstrate how you can actually manage different versions of a document within the FineReader PDF?
Yes, sure. So let me show you also again the different ways that you can do this. So I can go straight back into my FineReader PDF application, and you can do this using the comparison feature. So you will find that on the left-hand side in this vertical list that's called compare. So that's pretty straightforward. And here then you can, when you click on open ABBYY compare documents, you can just slide the documents inside, or even quicker way to do this is when you have your two versions of the document that has just been reviewed with some updates. Actually, you can also see here that I have, one is a Word document and the other is a PDF. So this is not a problem at all that the documents are in different formats. And you just select them, right click, and again, from the drop-down menu, you select compare documents. And again, without having to go into the interface, this just opens it directly. And what FineReader PDF does, it analyzes the differences within seconds and highlights them on the right-hand side here, as you can see. And you can see that the changes here, you can go through them and check what they are. So I can see that some numbers here at the top has changed. For example, this one at the closest to the bottom of the page, it looks like the numbers have changed, the calendar days. So this would be quite significant, and you would not want to miss this if you were talking about 100 or a lot of 30-page documents that need to be reviewed. This is something quite crucial, and you would want to draw attention to this. So with FineReader, you don't have to worry that there's some changes that will go unnoticed. And what you're also able to do in terms of reviewing this document, if you're comfortable again working with the Microsoft Office, you're also able to export the changes with the tracked changes on to Office document. I hope you can still see this. And you can see that the changes here are highlighted. And what you can do, oh, I think my Word stopped working. Let's try again. That's fine, close. And what you're able to do is you can review the changes, you can accept changes, you can reject them, just like you would in the Office document. So that's about comparing documents. So
with the limited time that we have left in the webinar, just maybe quickly, if you could, Natalia, just highlight the redaction of confidential information in FineReader. That would be a helpful thing for the audience to see.
Sure. So let me try to do this quickly because, yeah, we're running out of time, but this is really quite a significant function that FineReader offers that I encourage everybody to use, and that's the redaction. So when it comes to sensitive information that you would not want to share when you're working with the document or sharing it further, you can do this manually, for example, is one way. So I have at the top here, you can see at the top of the page is a redact. So you would just click on redact, and this, and then you can go into the document and just select the word that you would like to redact or sort of remove the references of, and so on and so forth. So you can do this manually. So another way that you can do this is you can use the search function. So search and redact combination on the left-hand side here. So if I would type in property, I can see that actually it is mentioned a lot more often where I just did it now and as an example. So to save you having to do it manually, you can just click on the document and then click on here, apply redaction, and with one single step, it'll remove it everywhere. But there might be cases where the word or the phrase might be mentioned that's not visible on the document itself. So this might be metadata or document properties. So you can also use this search function to check. And for example, this Acne company, which I saw at the top here, is a good example. You can see here on the left-hand side that the word is also mentioned within the bookmarks at the top here and then within the metadata. So if you use the search and redact function, you're then really sure that this removes the mention of the document from everywhere. And also if we still have some time, a final checklist, you can also use this delete objects and data. So when you click on redact and this drop down, or really the two options you have, you can use the delete objects and data field. And this can serve as a sort of final checklist to really be extra safe and make sure that you don't miss removing mentions of, for example, the comments that you might have not noticed that were internally made, some links, some additional bookmarks, or metadata. So you can go through this and select all of them if you wish. And this way you're really making sure that all the references are removed when sharing the document. So.
Great. Natalia, thank you so much for that. So I know that we have only a few minutes left. Just want to obviously highlight many of the different features within FineReader. And for those of you who work across multiple jurisdictions, of course, one of the key advantages is language support, 193 different languages. And of course, the recognition capability of FineReader is very strong to support accurate extraction and recognition of documents. So with that, I know that we have a few minutes, Sasha. Maybe perhaps what we can do is, if you can advance the slide, Natalia, to the thank you page. We have, I think, a couple of points that you can take advantage of a volume discount with respect to FineReader. And I believe, Sasha, that we want to pause for a minute or so for the audience members to submit their questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you to all of our speakers for answering those questions. That does seem like all the time that we have for today. I'd like to one more time thank Abby and everyone else for attending our webinar today as part of LTRC Industry. If you'd like to look into future webinars, check out the ABBYY LTRC page or follow our Twitter at LTRC for updates. Everyone will be receiving an email after this webinar with the slide deck, the presentation recording, and a message from our sponsor. One more time, thank you to our speakers for presenting today. We will now conclude the webinar. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.